Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for the 29th of September 2016. Matthew is now a hurricane. It's battling some southwesterly shear, pushing those colder, thicker cloud tops away from the low-level center, but any relaxation of that shearing mechanism will allow this to strengthen pretty quickly, and I think it's going to become pretty strong over here in the Caribbean Sea as it continues to move generally westward. There's actually a little bit of a south of west movement forecast here over time, maybe not that dramatic, and you can see it reflected in the official forecast here, moving off to the south just a little bit. Strong high pressure up here keeping it shoved down to the south and west, and then this starts to weaken away. I'll show you that in just a moment, and it makes that turn off to the north and west. How far does it get towards Haiti here? How close does it get to Jamaica? And then it looks like eventually a landfall is all but a certainty for eastern Cuba. And then after that, we need to focus on the Bahamas, which were impacted considerably. That's an understatement from Joaquin right around this time last year. What is the odds of that? Two hurricanes a year apart in almost the same area. So that's the track forecast. This is the sea surface temperature, upper ocean heat content map. Incredible amounts of energy in this region. I've been talking about this all summer long. The upper ocean heat content is high, but the overall water temperature is actually at a record state right now in the western Atlantic, west of 60 degrees longitude. Very, very warm compared to where it should be. And what this means is that the warm water extends deep into the ocean. It's not just at the surface, so there's ample energy even below the ocean's surface for a hurricane to take advantage of. Looking at the anomalies updated today, anomalies are departures from normal. On the plus side, on the right-hand side of the scale, negative anomalies on the left-hand side. And you can see that a good deal of the western Atlantic basin here is substantially above the long-term average. And that's going to matter for intensity, and it could even help to strengthen the western Atlantic ridge here just ever so slightly, and every bit could determine the ultimate track of this system. It's just been my experience and observation that overall warmer water helps to promote ridging, stronger high pressure over a body of water than colder water does. So this may make a difference, it may not, but we certainly can see the departure from normal here in the western Atlantic, and that's going to really start to matter. I'm showing you this map because I don't think this is going to go into the Gulf of Mexico. This is the western Atlantic, mid-Atlantic states, the Carolinas up through New Jersey and New England. And these are actual water temperatures, 28 degrees Celsius all the way up here against the coastline. 28 degrees Celsius is roughly 82 Fahrenheit. And, you know, it's just as warm as it could be for this time of year. Even some areas in the Gulf Stream here, 29 Celsius, low to mid-80s. And very deep and constantly moving in the Gulf Stream. So ample ocean heat content available, very warm water compared to where it should be. And there is a chance, at least, that somewhere in this region could be impacted later on. It's just starting to maybe look more like that. It could just as easily be far enough offshore that we don't have to worry about it, just be a big wave creator. But the GFS has been really consistent, and I'm going to show you the run from this morning. This is the 500 millibar pattern, and that's, you know, up at about the midway through the atmosphere. And this is a big old upper level low and associated trough carved out with it. This is the east coast of the U.S. There's the Carolinas, etc. There's Florida, and we go on back towards Louisiana and Texas. And then this is a big old bubble of air sitting out over the Atlantic, the ridge of high pressure that we talk about. And then down here, as I scroll down, you can see the hurricane. There's Matthew, represented by this ball of vorticity, energy or spin in the atmosphere. And let's go through the different frames here over the next several days. So here we are at initial time this morning, which was, let's see if this will work for me. It's stuck for some reason. Wonder why. Let's play it. Maybe it'll just play for me. Where's my play button? Start. So here we are. It'll just move through the frames for me because apparently it's not letting me do it. This is every hour over the next 5 days, and you can see it moves generally south of west down here, just ever so slightly, closer to the north coast of South America, but I don't think it'll be close enough to warrant hurricane conditions for that region. Then, as it moves around past about day 3 or so, it starts to bend back off towards the north and west. As you'll see, slow progression. The high pressure up here erodes a little bit. It changes all the time. The evolution of it is constant. And the trough starts to lift out. You can see that up here. This energy lifts out. And then the hurricane begins that turn, coming up towards the area between Jamaica and the western tip of Haiti right here, this peninsula. And it's fairly close to Jamaica on this run. There's eastern Jamaica right there. That's cutting it pretty darn close, and then it finally comes in here towards the eastern tip of Cuba. And at that point in time is when it's really going to start to kind of come down at day 5 here to what the ridge of high pressure is like over in the western Atlantic. If this is more robust and farther to the west, this will come up farther to the west, closer to Florida, and into the northwest Bahamas. If this is weaker and farther to the east, this can turn up much closer to the out to sea path. But generally, it looks like the alleyway over the next few days is going to be up into this region. I curve it a little bit, shouldn't do that. It's hard because you have ensemble members, different runs of the operational models with different variables. But I'm going to tell you what, the global forecast system here, the GFS, has been very consistent with the overall idea that this turns north into eastern Cuba and then some type of a path that leads it up into this region somewhere like this over the next few days to a week or so. And we're only talking about 6 to 7 days out. Now that's a long time in weather. I certainly understand that. But it's not 10 days. It's not 9 days anymore. Now the euro is a lot slower, but it does bend it back to the west as well. I don't have time to go over every single thing in these updates. It would probably bore you. But the point here, the main takeaway, the Greater Antilles, Jamaica, you need to be watching this first and foremost. And then after that, beyond the time of the 5-day forecast period, all interest, certainly in South Florida, the Bahamas, up the East Coast, you need to just be watching this and be ready to put your plan of action into motion in case it comes down to it. That's about all I can add to what's already out there. It is an uncertain forecast track, but my hunch tells me that the GFS consistency is something that we need to be watching. Now watch what will happen on tonight's run. It'll completely flip something and it'll blow that consistency out of the water. Hopefully not, because you want to be able to rely on the computer models that if they say something's going to happen, they forecast it, that it actually happens, and you can rely on that and prepare accordingly. The waffling back and forth and the uncertainty will really start to get on people's nerves, trust me. We saw that last year with Joaquin, and we don't want to have to do it again this year. It was bad enough with Hermine and what that did. So anyhow, a lot to watch. I'll be on top of it. You've got some great tools with Hurricane Pro and HD. Be sure to take advantage of them. And follow Hurricane Pro HD on Twitter, because they will be posting information from around the web, from trusted sources, and that will include me from time to time. Hopefully trust what I say, and we'll see what happens together. Have a great rest of your Thursday afternoon. I'm Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com, and for Hurricane Pro and HD. I'll have much more for you tomorrow.